There's a saying by Chazal that's oftentimes quoted by people in order to encourage others in their study of Torah or to perform mitzvot, and that is Shelo Lishma Ba Lishma. And it's interpreted as, it's okay in the beginning if you do things for ulterior motives, because eventually you will do it for the right reason. And I think it's a little tricky, and I think you really need to look. I like the way it's phrased in the Gemara Pesachim Daf Nun Bet, and it goes like this. So, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, Le'olam ya'asok adam b'Torah u'mitzvot, af al pi shelo lishma shemitoch shelo lishma ba lishma. So I think each and every word here is critical, and how you interpret those words is critical, because it says Le'olam, so that means either it always, or as on this planet as is or should be done. That you should ya'asok, busy yourself, man should busy himself, bit Torah or mitzvot, in Torah and mitzvot, afal pi shelo lishma, even though it is not done. Now, what is lishma? So lishma can be interpreted different ways, because lishma could be for its name. Shema is its name, so meaning the name is the essence. So if you're not doing the mitzvah for the reason why you're supposed to do that mitzvah with the proper intent, it's okay for the meantime, because if you keep doing it, eventually you will do it for the proper shema, for the proper intent of the thing. But I also think, and I don't think they're really two separate things so much as interconnected, is if you do something lo lishma, lishma is l'shem shemayim. It even spells out shem Hashem, lishma. If you don't do something l'shem shemayim, if you're not doing something for the purpose, for the sake of heaven, meaning that's the ultimate reason why you do something, is because God commanded you to do it, so you have faith that is the best right thing to do, and you do it b'simcha because you're fulfilling God's will. You want to fulfill God's will, and that's l'shem shemayim, that's lishma. And I think that's the important thing to note, because in doing Torah and mitzvot from the beginning of our lives, I mean, so it's a process that we're working on our whole entire lives, is to be able to do things on a higher level. It's impossible to be doing everything l'shem shemayim, or we'd be perfect. You living out your life l'shem shemayim would make you an angel, because that's what angels are. They do everything exactly as commanded by God. They don't veer off that path. They follow God's will. That's all that they do. Man has to really work on that. So it is impossible and is inevitable that in our lives we are going to do certain things for ulterior motives, and hopefully eventually we'll get to doing it lishma, l'shem shemayim. But I don't think, that's why the beginning I think is very critical, because it says she'adam ya'asok b'torah uba mitzvot. He should busy himself with Torah and mitzvot, even if it's not lishma. But there's a lot of discussion in the different places this is found about, whether you can do that. It is even said that if you study Torah for the wrong purpose, this could be your demise, your destruction. It could be destructive force. You shouldn't study Torah with ulterior motives. If you're going to study Torah, some say with the ulterior motive of being a rabbi or for honor, that's not so bad until you get to the proper place. But you shouldn't be doing it just to stick it to somebody who's wiser than you in years, or in wisdom and knowledge. And I think that's why the word is ya'asok, to busy yourself with the Torah, because learning Torah just for the sake of using that knowledge is not isuk in Torah, is not busying yourself with your life, because to be busy yourself is with your mind and your intent and your activities. It's not, you can't just see Torah as an intellectual study. If you look at Torah just as an intellectual pastime, then it's going to be detrimental. It has to be something that you're doing because you want to la'asok, you want to busy yourself in the mitzvot. And that's why it's la'asok b'Torah and mitzvot, because the Torah without the mitzvot is not Torah. So it has to be b'Torah u'mitzvot. And so the ulterior motives can be there, but they can't be nefarious. They can't be something that's you're doing for a bad reason. If you're doing something, you say, okay, right now I'm just doing this because it's going to motivate me, but I want to eventually get to the right place because I know this is the right thing to do. And your eventual destination is to get to the right thing to do. And that's your intent. And that's why you're beginning, and you're giving yourself these little, incentives till you get there. That's okay. That's okay. And I do think that if you really deep down your desire is, to eventually get there, you get that extra added measure of help from above. And another thing is I think shelo lishma balishma is, even if you're not doing it l'shem shemayim or for the right reasons, if you're doing mitzvot, it balishma, it comes to do something that is l'shem shemayim. You're doing a mitzvah still, that person is still getting the tzedakah. That visiting the sick that you did, it still benefits the person. So it's ba lishma, it's coming to do God's will despite the fact that it is not your intent. So the end result will be lishma. The end result will be fulfilling a part of God's will. You might not be perfecting yourself, but your outcome is one that God desires, and that is balishma. That arrives at the destination of lishma. Until we can get there, until we can get both benefits, the end result and the perfection of the self. So that's my words on lo lishma balishma for today. I hope it was clear and you understood. If not, and you want me to clarify, please let me know in the comments, and please tell me what you think. And I wish you a wonderful rest of the day. And go ahead, go do something, whether you feel like it or not, because good is good. Get it done.